How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Lucid. They do have earnings that's going to be coming out on Monday in the after hours. So you know I got to get this video out for you guys, so I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to go on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for Lucid. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $26.35, being up 4.23%. On the low, it tested $24.56, and then on the high, testing $27. And then when we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 28.287 million shares, and for the average volume over 10 trading days, it is at 28.458 million shares. So we had average volume on the day, and we also saw some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, we can see from the RSI down below, it is at 40.61. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 100-day, the 50-day, the 200-day, and as well as the 21-day EMA. So since we are trading below all of our major moving average, Lucid is in a bear market. But one thing to understand, we have been seeing some bullish price action for the past 2 trading days. And we ended up seeing a high on the day on the Friday at 27 bucks. So going into Monday, so what you're going to want to see is a move above $27. If it can get above $27, then I'd want to see if it can make that push going to $28. We know this will be a resistance area. There could be some profit taking and so forth. But again, don't forget, they do have earnings that is coming out in the after hours. So that's why I'm saying this push is very possible. And if we do end up having a pullback prior to earnings, then I'm going to be expecting for us to hold support at the bare minimum at around $25.50. That is very achievable. In regards to earnings results, if they end up being good, then I want to see Lucid get back above the 200-day, which will be right here around $30. If it ends up being bad and they don't do well, then that's where we can look forward to seeing a pullback, and we can easily get back down here to around $21.80. And if the selling does continue on for the next day, that's where we can see the stock going below $20. So let's see how it performs going into Monday, but it's definitely going to be interesting. Let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Lucid. As we scroll down further on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So we're going to take a look at the recent filings for the 25th, and as you can tell, we have a good amount. So what we're going to do, we're going to focus on the ones that are the most noticeable. So we have Investco Triple Q that purchased just over 23.58 million shares. And then for the next big position we have is USNQX Nasdaq 100 Index Fund that purchased just under 498,000 shares. And then afterwards, we do see we have some short positions, which are 2. We have from LEOIX, Lazard Enhanced Opportunities Portfolio Institutional Shares, that went in with a short position of 13,046 shares. And we also do see one for 13,800 shares from EOPS. And again, we do see this happening for short positions for the 24th as well. But I wanted to bring those big positions to your attention because what this shows us, yes, the big money has been loading up. And also when we take a look at this chart here, you can see as of late in February, institutions continue to pile up on their positions. So again, this can be bullish for long-term investors. So now when we take a look at the short interest, The off-exchange short volume ratio is at 57.49%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 6.53 million shares. Scrolling down further on the page, the short shares availability is at 150,000, updated 21 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 8.52%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 24th, it was at 55.06, and then for the close of the 25th, it was at 57.49. So what this shows us, Lucid does continue to have short squeeze potential. So now let's move on to the order flow distribution.
Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for Lucid. So we see on the inflows at 140, and then on the outflows at 143. So we had an outflow day. Keep in mind these numbers are in the millions. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large it was 1.21. On the medium, it was 93.43, and then on the small, it was 45.72. When we take a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large, it is 2.10. On the medium, it is 98.01. And then on the small, it is 43.27. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for the past 5 trading days, they've all been outflow days. And on the Friday, we had negative 0.89 million. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tend to represent the retail side, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the large, represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 1.72%. So it still continues to be a consistent range for Lucid. And we know there's going to be a lot of volatility going into earnings. And as far as how to trade this stock come on Monday, I'll give you guys my point of view, and I'll also give you some more details in regards to expectations. So let's get into the final thoughts right now. So for my final thoughts for Lucid, in regards to earnings, there's a few things that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. The first one being is deliveries. Are they going to be executing on those goals? The reason why this is important because we've already gotten the results from other manufacturers, and Lucid is the one that we are waiting on. Secondly, we want to see what the cash burn is looking like. How much cash have they been using, and how much cash is left on the balance sheet? This is very crucial since we are going into a higher interest rate environment. And since it is a growth stock, if we see that they're going through a lot of cash, then as far as an investor, that is something that you need to be concerned about. The next thing is supply chain shortages. This can have an impact on their overall guidance for 2022. So how are they going to find ways around it? We've already noticed with other manufacturers, they've had to scale back their production due to chip shortages. So what is Lucid going to do? And most importantly, we want to see what the revenue numbers look like. In regards to the price action, now I know many of you are going to be looking to trade options with this. For myself, I am not going to be playing options on Lucid on the day of earnings. I was thinking about it over the weekend and I'm like, you know what? It is just not worth it. There are other opportunities out there in the market. But some key levels that you're going to want to see, and I think is very doable for Lucid if the markets are strong. I wouldn't be shocked if we get to around $28 before seeing some resistance. What I want to see in regard to support holding up is right at $25. So a range between 25 and as well as 28. If they end up putting out a solid earnings report, then I want to see this stock going to around $32. And if they put out bad earnings, I could see it pulling back to around $22, and then on the open around Tuesday, it could fall below $20. So these are what I see going on for this stock, but like I said, I am not going to be playing it whatsoever. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership, we could see institutions have continued to load up on shares. Plus, on top of that, it does have short squeeze potential. So this is why, if they end up giving us a surprise for earnings, it can make some strong moves to the upside, and is why I'd rather play options the day after and not the day of. This is just my strategy. Of course, you don't need to follow it because I don't give out financial advice. But as far as Monday is concerned, I see a lot of volatility coming into the markets, and I do see there's a number of opportunities to take advantage of. And if you have been doing your homework and as well as your due diligence, if you do have a position and the stock decides to pull back, then you shouldn't be afraid to add on the dips. And if you are afraid to add on the dips, then you shouldn't have been in the play in the first place. So the first opportunity you get, I would would just sell for break even or any little profit that you may have. And the reason why I'm emphasizing this, because when it comes to making investments in the stock market, you need to have high conviction. There's no in between here. So that's why on this channel, I always talking about it's so important to have a strategy before you push that buy button or even before you push that sell button. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let's see how Lucid performs going into Monday. We'll talk soon.